CNN, tras la victoria de Donald Trump en las elecciones, lanzó el video que estás a punto de ver. Prepárate, porque es imposible no quedarse enganchado. Este material es un ejemplo claro de lo que se conoce como una campaña mediática, aunque, tristemente, utilizaron a quienes aparecen en pantalla para transmitir un mensaje con una intención muy específica. A medida que lo veas, notarás lo forzado y contradictorio que resulta. No te lo pierdas, observa cada detalle y dime al final, ¿qué opinas realmente de esto?
What concerns have you had about speaking out?
That I'm gonna be like one day I'm gonna be walking down the street and somebody's gonna come up and like me or something.
That's a really scary thing to be worrying about at 10 years old.
Yeah, that should not be a worry.
Michelle, what's going through your mind as you hear your daughter say this?
It's just hard to hear her say that. And she asked me three questions after she heard who won the election. Are we gonna have to move? Are they gonna take me away from you? And am I not gonna be able to get my medicine? It's frightening.
We've seen Republicans put a lot of money and energy into transgender issues. More than $200 million were spent this election cycle in anti-trans ads. What does that feel like to have so much attention by all these politicians on your identity?
It makes me feel like they think we're puppets that they can play with, and it's just so wrong.
It made you feel disrespected?
Made me feel like literally dead inside. It's probably honestly the worst thing I've ever felt. I've heard transphobic politicians that say, no, you have the wrong gender, you're confused, honey. No, myself is a fact, not an opinion. And they don't get to decide that for me. I get to decide that for myself.
The Supreme Court is taking on a Tennessee law that is banning gender-affirming care for minors. So this is things like hormones, puberty blockers. Roughly 24 states have passed restrictions on gender-affirming care. It's clearly a big political issue, but I want to understand what gender-affirming care means for you. Why is this something that's important for your family?
I don't know what kind of care my kids are going to need in the future, but I also believe in body autonomy and parental rights, and so my kids deserve access to the same life-saving care that other cisgender kids are receiving without politicians interfering.
You want the choice?
Yes.
I think if politicians really were in it for the kids' sake, then they would take the time and listen to what they have to say. I think that they would focus on real things like climate change instead of using our identities as a pawn just to get votes or just to stay in an office. Me and my family have spent a lot of our time going back and forth to our state capital in Arizona. The amount of times I've been disrespected, misgendered, dismissed just because of how young I am by these people who want to protect me.
So all of you have traveled a very long way from Arizona on your own dime, taking time off work, taking time off school, to be here for this Supreme Court case that's taking up transgender rights. Why did you feel it was important to be here in DC and have your voices heard?
Oftentimes, our lives get turned into numbers and trauma stories with no name and no face. Our existence is so beyond that. I play the guitar. I am in my school's March for Our Lives club and our Spanish club, right? Like, I live this very full and vibrant life. When politicians focus on turning us into numbers, a lot of the times they've never met trans people, they don't know trans people, they don't take the time to introduce themselves to trans people.
The first time Daniel ever lobbied, he was 9 years old, and he's gonna be 18 next August, 2 months after this ruling. And so he will have spent a majority of his life defending his existence. And so I just want Daniel and Violet and Dylan to live in a world that just lets them be, and in a world where they can be safe. I really worry that the rhetoric has gotten so bad.
Do you feel like it's affecting your childhoods that you have to fight for your right to exist?
Yeah, because there's so many like racist, anti-trans people, that I should be a kid at school right now worrying about my own stuff and like not having to do this, yet my childhood is honestly kind of ruined.
And that speaks to the suicide rate of trans youth. Like this is real, this is serious.
And we know that the statistics around the loss of life of Black and brown trans women is already high.
Donald Trump has promised to roll back a lot of protections for transgender people. He has backed a national ban on gender-affirming care in this campaign, and now we're facing another 4 years with Trump back in the White House. I'm wondering how you are all coping with that reality.
I just don't want to think about what he's gonna do, like in Arizona where we all live and we're probably gonna live.
Do you think it'll be harder to be a trans kid under President Trump?
Yes, a lot harder.
What do you hope will come as a result of you speaking out and making your voices heard?
I wish people could see that our children are who they are and believe them and leave our families alone. Like, I would give anything to be a really boring PTA mom. And instead, I'm reading policy, like ways in which I can convince politicians to see my child as a full human being.
I'm hopeful that we can just be normal children in a normal world where people don't judge us and where we can just be ourselves and shine like a star.
Es evidente cómo ciertos sectores aprovechan campañas mediáticas para atacar a Donald Trump, simplemente porque representa una amenaza para las ideologías que intentan imponer. Utilizan estrategias cargadas de manipulación emocional, diseñadas para influir en la percepción pública. Lo más preocupante es que no tienen reparos en incluir a menores de edad con problemas de identidad en estas tácticas, usándolos como piezas para promover agendas específicas. Esto no solo resulta deshonesto, sino también éticamente cuestionable. Los menores enfrentan ya suficientes desafíos, y exponerlos en este tipo de campañas los convierte en víctimas de intereses que no buscan su bienestar, sino aprovechar su situación para generar polémica y apoyo a sus narrativas. En lugar de protegerlos y guiarlos en un entorno de estabilidad, se los coloca en el centro del debate, lo que puede generar aún más confusión y daño emocional. Al final, estas acciones dejan en claro el nivel de desesperación por desacreditar a Trump y a cualquiera que cuestione estas ideologías. En lugar de promover el diálogo y el respeto, se recurre a dividir, polarizar y manipular, sacrificando incluso la seguridad emocional de los más jóvenes. Es momento de alzar la voz contra estas estrategias que priorizan intereses ideológicos por encima de la integridad de quienes deberían ser protegidos, no explotados. Y aquí culmina este video. Si te gustó, puedes darle like, comentar y compartirlo. Asimismo, si disfrutas este tipo de contenido, suscríbete al canal. Tengo muchos más videos similares que podrían gustarte. Gracias y hasta luego.